welcome back. Time to finish this baby up. So we've got create, read, delete. We're only missing the U, right? So we're just missing the update. What we're going to do with the update is we're going to do the update in the detail view controller, just like we did before. So we just kind of run it to remind you how that works. So if you click into here, you can click on edit. So you can actually modify one of these things. And you can click on edit quote, and it shows up here. And you come back, and it went away, right? Why did it go away? Well, it went away because once I come back, I'm actually redoing the query from the back end, and it wasn't saved on the back end, and so it got blown away, right? So we need to fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to write update inside the detail view controller. One of the things the detail view controller needs is it needs access to that service, right? So somehow you've got to get the service into this class. What I did in the notes, and I'm going to leave the notes there, is I actually just passed in that service at the same time I passed in the MovieQuote, right? So I just, in the notes, I made a property for the service, and I just passed it in. We also are going to need to know the is-localhost testing, because this is a post method, and we're going to have to do that hack for localhost, right? So we need those two things. We need the service. We need to know if it's localhost or not. What I'm going to do, just because it's fun, is Swift actually kind of has like things that are inside the class that only that class knows about. And then if it's written outside of the class, it's global, right? So actually there's no reason to pass over is localhost testing. Since it's written outside of the class, it's global in scope, right? And so what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is bad form or not, I'm just going to move the service out of the class and just put it up before, right? So now it's in the globals area. Neat thing is that since I didn't write self dot whenever I was using my code, my movie quotes didn't change, right? So now it's using the global variable service instead of the internal instance variable service. So it actually works out to not be that different. And so now, since it's outside, I've got access to is localhost testing and service everywhere. It turns out that in a real app, when it gets bigger, you would actually make a class, like when we do Grade Recorder, we're going to do this. We'd make a class like just for like endpoints related things, right? And so that way everybody would have access to it. Because obviously the service is bigger than just the table view controller. He's really independent. So I think it's okay to put him outside. So now what I want to do is I want to use these things in the detail view controller that I have access to. I'm lazy, so I'm going to start by taking insert quote, and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go into my detail view controller, and I'm going to make a new method over here. You can see it's quite a bit shorter. I'm going to call my new method underscore, because I've been doing that, update movie quote. You'll notice that it doesn't need to receive anything, because the quote that it's updating is actually just the one and only quote that it knows about. So I'm just going to go and paste in the insert. And I, of course, forgot how much I had on my clipboard. I didn't really mean to grab the function signature or the bottom curly brace. And then what I can do is I can highlight it and hit Control I. So what it's doing here is it's saying query for MovieQuote insert. That actually is the exact method we want. I guess I can give you some more screen real estate here. But instead of new quotes, we actually just want MovieQuote, which if you remember, that's like the one and only quote that this detail view controller knows about. If it's localhost testing, then we want to do the same thing we did before. We just need to change new quote to be MovieQuote. That's pretty easy. Oh, and it's yelling at me because MovieQuote's an optional, so I guess I need to put in an exclamation point. I know that it exists if we've gotten this far. And then we're going to say start the spinner up, sure. Execute the query, yep. Get back a ticket, a response, and error, yep. Turn off the spinner, you got it. Oh, this one's a pain. Show error dialog. That was a method that we only knew about over in the other one. So you could fix this the same way. You could like make it global if you wanted. I think I'm going to do an even lamer thing. I'm just going to copy the code. I'm ready to be done with this app. And I'm just going to stick it in here, right? So I just, there you go. Didn't have that method, no big deal. Plop. Looks like there's one small change. Now I'm inside of a closure. So I need to say self.present view controller. All right, that's fine. And then once it comes back, the next question is, what do you need to do now that it's back? And to be honest, the answer to that is nothing, right? So we're just kind of like delete. We went ahead and we updated it instantaneously, and then we don't need to do anything. In fact, if we don't need to do anything in the success case, I'm just going to take off my return statement and get rid of some of my new lines. All right, so now I've got a function. I've learned my lesson. I've got a function, but I haven't called it yet, called update movie quotes. I need to find when is the right time to call this. And so if you go looking around, you can see that this is the create quote action. I should have called that edit quote action. I'm not going to fix it now. And I update the view, and then what I want to do is I want to actually update it with the back end as well. So we just make sure that we do that call. The other place you could have put it is you could have put it inside update view. And I think that would have worked out fine. It would do an insert unnecessarily though. So I think that putting it right there after we click on OK is a great spot to do it. So let's go ahead and run it again, and this thing should work. By the way, it kind of bothers me that I didn't fix that name. So let's just go ahead and modify one of these guys. We'll go to Yippee-Ki-Yay and add a little bit to the end. Not what you think. I'm going to add an exclamation point. Not sure if you know how that quote really finishes or not. So I add an exclamation point. Shows up here. Did that before. You may have noticed the spinner went off this time though. I come back and it's still there. In fact, it's been promoted to the most recently edited spot. So that was great. I guess if you wanted to be nice and thorough, you could go test your local host version as well. So local host testing I'll set to true. I'll run it again. And I should be able to edit these things as well. And so I'll say refresh works, but don't go away. I'm going to take that off and just say refresh works. And then I come back and it says refresh works. And of course I can check these things on the deployed version as well, or the web client as well. Refresh works. And then here's my Yippee-Ki-Yay promoted to the top with an exclamation point. That's it. You just finished this thing. So that is the end of CRUD. That is the end of movie quotes. You can see in the slides that your advice at the end is, assuming you're taking the class for credit, zip it and submit it. So there's a spot on Moodle where you can submit this follow along. All right, that is all we've got for the follow along. Come back next time for the lab. The lab's going to be weather picks. A little warning, I made the lab video when in Objective-C, and it's the same lab, right? It's just in Swift instead of Objective-C. So I think I'm going to not re-record the video. So if you look really closely at the video, you'll see some Objective-C code in there. You'll also notice that there was no spinner in my demo version. That's now a required part of the lab. But we'll let you watch that lab to actually know what the heck I'm just talking about. All right, see you next time. Bye.